Why do so many people struggle with money despite working hard? Is it bad luck, the economy, or something deeper? The truth is, most financial problems aren't caused by a lack of income, but by habits that quietly keep you broke. And the worst part? You might not even realize you're stuck in these patterns. The ancient Stoics understood wealth in a way that most people today overlook. They knew that financial freedom isn't about how much you earn. It's about how you think, how you act, and how you control what's within your power. Today, we're going to break down 10 bad money habits that might be keeping you trapped and, more importantly, how you can fix them using timeless Stoic wisdom. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only see money differently, but you'll know exactly what steps to take to gain real financial control. Number 1. Chasing status over stability. A modern Stoic understands that true wealth isn't about looking rich. It's about having control over your life. Yet, so many people fall into the trap of chasing status, spending money they don't have on things they don't need, all to impress people who aren't even paying attention. Social media has only made this worse. We see highlight reels of luxury vacations, designer clothes, and extravagant purchases, and we think we need to keep up. But what's the cost? Stress, debt, and financial instability. Epictetus put it simply: wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. A Stoic doesn't measure success by external validation, but by internal peace. When you detach from the need to prove yourself through material things, you gain something much greater: freedom. The person who needs little is richer than the person who has everything but always craves more. Instead of spending recklessly to signal success, focus on real stability. Save, invest, live below your means, not because you're depriving yourself, but because you value security over status. A Stoic knows that money should serve you, not the other way around. When you no longer need to impress, you've already won. Number 2. Letting fear stop you from investing. Money sitting in a bank account, losing value to inflation, does nothing for you. And yet, fear stops so many people from investing. The stock market seems unpredictable. Real estate feels complicated. Crypto, too volatile. Instead of learning, people hesitate. They wait for the perfect moment to start, only to watch years slip by without making a move. But, as Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Fear is not a reason to avoid something. It's a sign that you must confront it. A modern Stoic doesn't let fear dictate action. Instead, they see it as an opportunity to grow. If investing seems intimidating, then your job isn't to avoid it. It's to understand it. Read, learn, start small. You don't need to be an expert overnight. The biggest risk isn't the market going down, it's doing nothing at all. Money left untouched erodes over time, but disciplined investing builds wealth. A Stoic knows that uncertainty is part of life, but action in the face of it is what leads to strength. Move forward, not despite the fear, but because of it. Number 3, living paycheck to paycheck. Without a plan. Life without a financial plan is like sailing without a destination. You might be moving, but you're at the mercy of the wind, drifting wherever circumstances take you. Many people live paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough, but because they have no financial direction. They spend impulsively, save nothing, and hope that somehow things will work out. But hope is not a strategy. Seneca warns us, if a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Without a clear financial goal, whether it's saving for an emergency fund, investing for the future, or eliminating debt, you'll always feel lost. The person with a plan can adjust, adapt, and stay on course. The person without one? They remain stuck in survival mode, always wondering why they never seem to get ahead. A Stoic understands that control is key. Take responsibility for your financial life. Track your expenses, set a budget, make your money work for you. When you dictate where your money goes instead of letting it disappear, you break free from the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Stability isn't about how much you earn, it's about how intentionally you use what you have. Number 4, buying things you can't afford to feel good. Modern society thrives on consumerism. Every day, ads tell you that happiness is just one purchase away: a new car, a bigger house, the latest gadget. And for a fleeting moment, buying something expensive might make you feel successful. But soon, the excitement fades and you're left with nothing but the financial burden. Worse, the cycle repeats because you've trained yourself to seek fulfillment in material things. Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. If your happiness depends on what you buy, you are not in control. Your emotions, influenced by marketing and social pressure, are running the show. True freedom comes when you detach from this need to impress others or fill an internal void with external things. A Stoic doesn't reject wealth, but they see it for what it is, a tool, not an identity. Before any purchase, ask yourself, do I need this, or am I seeking validation? Am I buying out of habit, or is this a conscious choice? Break the cycle of emotional spending, and you gain something far more valuable than any luxury item: self-mastery. Number 5, complaining about money instead of learning about it. It's easy to blame external forces for financial struggles. The economy is bad. Wages aren't fair. Prices keep rising. While these may be true, dwelling on them changes nothing. Many people waste years complaining about their financial situation instead of taking the steps to change it. Epictetus cuts through the excuses. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Complaining about money is pointless. If you don't like your financial situation, take action. Educate yourself, improve your skills, start investing, or seek better opportunities. A Stoic doesn't wait for the world to fix itself. They adapt and find a way forward. Every wealthy person started somewhere. The difference between those who struggle and those who succeed is often mindset. One group sees obstacles and stops. The other sees obstacles and learns how to navigate them. Which mindset do you choose? Instead of arguing about how things should be, accept reality and master it. Take responsibility, because no one is coming to save you, but you can save yourself. Number 6, wasting time instead of building skills. Time is the one currency you can never earn back, yet so many people waste it on distractions, scrolling endlessly through social media, watching TV, or procrastinating on things that could change their financial future. They say they want to make more money, but when given the chance to learn a new skill, start a side business, or improve their expertise, they hesitate. They assume there will always be more time later. Seneca warned against this. While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. A Stoic understands that every moment spent on something unimportant is a moment stolen from something meaningful. If you are unhappy with your financial situation, you must ask yourself how much of your time is actually dedicated to improving it. Building wealth isn't just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Learning high-value skills, understanding financial literacy, and continuously improving yourself will do more for your future than any get-rich-quick scheme ever could. The world is filled with people who wish they had more money, but aren't willing to put in the time to earn it. A Stoic sees the truth. Your future wealth is being decided by what you do with your time today. Number 7. Ignoring the power of compound growth. Many people believe wealth is built through big wins, winning the lottery, launching the next billion-dollar startup, or finding some secret shortcut. Because of this, they ignore the small, steady actions that actually create financial security, saving, investing, and allowing their money to grow over time. They dismiss long-term strategies because they don't provide immediate results, forgetting that slow progress is still progress. Seneca understood this well. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Wealth building isn't glamorous at first. It requires patience, discipline, and the willingness to trust the process even when you don't see immediate results. The truth is, small investments made consistently will always outperform reckless financial decisions made in pursuit of quick riches. The modern Stoic sees money as a tool, not a source of instant gratification. They invest not because they expect to be rich overnight, but because they understand that financial freedom is built step by step. The hardest part of wealth building isn't finding the perfect investment. It's staying consistent when it feels like nothing is happening. But the person who embraces this mindset will wake up one day to find they've built something truly unshakable. Number 8. Being a slave to debt. Debt is modern-day servitude. It locks you into jobs you hate, forces you to make choices based on obligations instead of freedom, and keeps you in a constant state of stress. Many people convince themselves that debt is just a part of life, something to be managed rather than eliminated. But what they don't realize is that financial freedom isn't about having more money. It's about having fewer chains. Epictetus was clear: freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Debt is often created by trying to control things outside of ourselves, seeking status, indulging in unnecessary luxuries, or spending based on impulse rather than logic. But true financial power comes from restraint. The Stoic understands that every unnecessary debt taken on is another layer of restriction placed on their life. The goal isn't just to make more money, it's to own your time, your choices, and your future. Avoid debt that doesn't serve you. Eliminate financial burdens where you can. Because real wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much control you have over your own life. Number 9. Failing to adapt to economic changes. The world is always changing. Industries evolve, jobs disappear, new opportunities emerge. Yet many people resist change, clinging to old ways of thinking, refusing to learn new skills, and hoping things will return to how they used to be. This mindset keeps them stuck while others move forward. Instead of adapting, they blame the economy, the government, or bad luck. But in reality, their unwillingness to evolve is the biggest obstacle to their success. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot control the stock market, inflation, or shifts in job demand. But you can control how you respond to these changes. A Stoic doesn't waste time complaining about forces beyond their control. They focus on adjusting their strategy, learning new skills, and positioning themselves for success in any environment. The economy will change whether you're ready or not. Will you resist and fall behind? Or will you adapt, learn, and use change to your advantage? The choice is yours. The modern Stoic sees uncertainty not as a threat, but as an opportunity to grow stronger and more resilient. Wealth doesn't come to those who wish things were different. It comes to those who act despite uncertainty. Number 10. Letting money control you instead of the other way around. Most people believe that having more money will solve their problems, but they don't realize that money itself can become a trap. If your happiness, security, and self-worth depend on your bank balance, you will never feel satisfied, no matter how much you earn. You'll always want more. And in that endless pursuit, you become a slave to money rather than its master. Seneca puts it plainly. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. True wealth isn't about numbers, it's about mindset. A Stoic understands that money is a tool, not a purpose. They use it wisely, but they are not owned by it. They recognize that financial security is important, but they do not attach their identity to material possessions. If you let money dictate your choices, you will never be free. You will always be chasing, always fearing loss, always measuring yourself against others. But when you shift your focus from accumulation to control, from spending to strategy, from craving to contentment, you take back your power. The goal is not to be rich, it's to be free. And the person who masters their desires is wealthier than the one who owns the world. At the heart of Stoicism is this simple truth. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. Your financial future isn't determined by external forces. It's shaped by your choices. The habits you build today will decide whether you remain stuck or break free. So ask yourself, are you letting money control you, or are you ready to take control of your money? If you found this video helpful, please like and share it to spread the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos on Stoic living and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and I wish you strength on your journey.